Joining us now is someone who understands the nightmare of family members being kidnapped by Hamas. Adam Ma'anit is a British Israeli citizen whose 18-year-old relative was killed and her father, Adam's cousin, was taken hostage. Absolutely unimaginable, Adam. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Ken.
So when you last spoke with Nicole, you had said you had reason to believe your cousin is still alive. Is that currently the case?
That's what we're hoping for. We've had no official confirmation of that. We're hoping that maybe with some of the debriefs from the hostages that have been released, that we might have some information, some intelligence, which might help us to determine whether he's well, whether he's okay. But we haven't had formal confirmation yet of that. Obviously, a lot of the hostages that have been released are children, and many of them are traumatized beyond imagination. And also, when they were released, have discovered, for example, that their parents were murdered, which they hadn't known at the time. So the trauma is ongoing and continuing for a lot of these hostages that have been freed. There's no relief yet for them. And so it would be premature to expect us to be able to debrief them and get viable intelligence about the remaining hostages. And that goes for the other way around. So the hostages that are there still, of which there are over 100, many of them don't know the status of their family. So Tahi, my cousin, he was taken away after his daughter was murdered in front of his eyes. Her blood still drenched on his clothes. He doesn't know what happened to the rest of his family. In his mind, he may think that they were murdered and he was just taken captive. He doesn't know, and we don't have any way to tell him.
It's an absolutely horrific story, and we so appreciate you being a voice for so many loved ones who are experiencing similar scenarios. So, Adam, Hamas is expected to set a higher price for many of the remaining hostages. We know you can't disclose sensitive information related to the ongoing talks, but has the strategic approach from your families and those you're working with changed in any way since this fighting has resumed?
The families of all the hostages have been united in a singular call for all the hostages to be released. It's obvious that the ceasefire ended because Hamas launched rockets at Israeli civilian targets again, and also carried out a terrorist attack in Jerusalem, including killing a 24-year-old pregnant woman. So we know what Hamas's position is. We know what they're capable of. And we are also, as well, finding out some of the horrors that the hostages themselves have endured. We learned about twin boys who had their legs burned in different parts so that they can be identified through the exhaust of a motorcycle. Another hostage, a 9-year-old girl, Emily Hand, she can't speak loudly. She only whispers because she's afraid of making any noise. The conditions that the hostages are in is terrifying. And we also now know that the Bibas family, of which includes the youngest hostage, the 10-month-old baby, Kfir, Hamas are alleging that they were murdered. And they sent a video of their father, who's also a hostage, after telling him this news and showing us the reaction. And again, that's a kind of form of psychological warfare that Hamas is using against the Israeli public. And we are very concerned about what this means for the rest of the hostages and what they're doing to them as well.
Well, those stories are absolutely horrific to hear, but they're important to hear. And we so appreciate you speaking out in the wake of all the pain you and your loved ones are experiencing. Our prayers are with you. Adam Ma'anit, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Keleigh.